Good afternoon, friends. This is Jagdish Ahuja, your teacher trainer transformer, and welcome to one more podcast of Coffee with Jaggi. Today is Sunday, the 19th of April 2020, the 26th day of the lockdown. And as we have spent more than 3 weeks in a lockdown mode, people have gone through a range of emotions. And what are those emotions? Right from, being completely depressed to being angry to, being completely pessimistic about what's going to happen and fearful of what's going to happen in the future. So, we've gone through a range of emotions just in 3 weeks. So my mind was working on what happens to somebody who has spent 3 years in something like this. And when I was just thinking about this, I came across the story of Viktor Emil Frankl. Now, Viktor Frankl is a Jew, who was an Austrian and was caught as a prisoner in World War II. And he, along with his family, was sent to the, concentration camps, the Holocaust camps, as we call them, the Nazi war camps, where, he had to serve under severe labor, starvation, torture, and all brutal conditions which are totally inhuman and, cannot be even described. So that includes the gas chambers as well. So he was in that environment where he saw people around him fall by the wayside, die by the wayside. His own family also died, but he was the only survivor. He survived not 1 year, 2 years, but 3 years under the concentration camps. And there was not one concentration camp, but 4 concentration camps. So how did he do it? And then he came out and he wrote a book about it, called Man's Search for Meaning. And in this book, he actually gives out the principles, what kept him alive. So I think these principles are very useful for us today. The first principle of that is the power of belief. And here he beautifully shares a story of his roommate, who in his dreams had a vision of God, and God asking him for, granting him a boon. And he asked God, when can I get free? And God gave him a date, 31st of March 1945. And this was Feb 1945. So he shared this with Victor, and he was very confident that things will happen like this. Unfortunately, the war intensified in March 1945, and there was no way, anything like this could happen. As a result, Victor saw this man who was energetic in beginning get slowly quieter and depressed, to such an extent that on March 31st, 1945, his roommate collapsed and was pronounced dead. And everybody thought, yes, it's because, he is, because of starvation and disease and infection, etc., he died. But Victor knew heart of heart that this was not the case. He had actually thought himself to death, because he had no reason, to live beyond this date as per him. And when Victor just tried to keep this coincidence, and look back, he realized that in the previous year, that's 1944, the maximum number of deaths which occurred in the prison where he was between Christmas to New Year. So all it came to was the power of belief, the power that, will you be able to survive this? Are you having the hope to survive this? So once you lose hope, it's a downward spiral. You are your best friend or your best enemy. And remember that if, when you're negative, you start looking for other negative things to validate you, and that keeps you putting in a downward spiral. So the first thing is, please keep your hopes alive. This is not the end of the world. The world has got over far bigger problems in the past. So now that was the first power of belief which kept him running through. The second belief, he had a dream that he's going to document all of this. And since he was a psychiatrist, he was going to publish a paper on this, and he's going to talk on stages in the world. And that was his big dream. So my question to you is, what is your big dream? What is your big, what I call bhag, big, hairy, audacious goal? What is your bhag in life? So look at that and you live for that. So this also is going to pass. This is going to be a blip in your entire time. 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever it is, in your 40, 50, 60 years has no meaning whatsoever. It's just like, getting a typhoid and being in bed for a month. That's about it, and you forget about it over some time. So, don't give too much meaning to this, but give yourself a meaning of a bigger dream in life, a bigger goal in life. And yes, very important, one of my mentors gave me a beautiful analogy on this, and he said, be like a fisherman. When the sea is nice and calm, go out and fish. But when there's a storm, you go back home and you mend your nets. So, you go to the sea or you go back home. And now, since we cannot go out, it's time to go in. So what I would suggest is the 3F philosophy of finance. First, fix your finance first. FFF, fix finance first. So take a pen and paper, go through your balance sheet, go through your personal balance sheet, list down your assets, liabilities, then arrange them in order of liquidity, arrange them in the way you could, what sort of money could come to you, how you could plan for the future, what are your dreams, what are your big, hairy, audacious goals, how do you want to achieve them, etc. Then you need to go into your budget, look into your budget, fine tune them, see what could you still cut down, because money saved is money earned. And you could look at what you could save upon at this point of time, what kind of liquidity you can get, what sort of assets which do not make sense need to be liquidated. Make your plans for the future, dream for the future, dream big for the future. Also, this is a time, because we all complain we don't have time, but this is the time you can make all your documents in order, your land papers, property, your vehicle papers, insurance, etc, etc. Whatever papers you got, keep them in a proper thing, share it with your spouse, make all your passwords, keep everything in order, because this is the time to get back into order. Another important thing is work on your skill set, because today you have to become indispensable. Tomorrow you have to become indispensable for the world, and the only way you can become indispensable is if you keep working on your craft and building your skills. So work, educate yourself, empower yourself, enlighten yourself during this time, and this will keep you going and this will keep you growing. So again, just at the cost of repetition, this is the time when you can't go out, go in, and when you go in deep and build yourself up, because now is the time, the time of the caterpillar going out of the pupa and getting ready to become a butterfly. And finally, coming back to the hero of the story, Viktor Frankl, in his entire book Man's Search of Meaning, there's one thing which comes out loud and clear, and that is the meaning of life is to make life meaningful. I'll repeat that. The meaning of life is to make life meaningful. God bless, cheers, and stay positive, stay healthy, and fix your finances first. Bye-bye. Thank you.